You are listening to the Adult Sabbath School lessons for the third quarter of 2022. This is lesson number 11 of the Adult Sabbath School Bible Study Guide in the Crucible with Christ. The lesson is titled Waiting in the Crucible and is ready for teaching on September 10. The author is Pastor Gavin Anthony, who was conference president in Iceland when he wrote this series of lessons. Today, your lesson is read by Dr. Percy Harrold. Friday, September 9. God's plan for us may require that we do a lot of waiting, and this really can feel like a crucible. Learning patience during this time can happen as we focus on the person of God and trust that He is acting for us. There are many reasons for waiting, but all are concerned with the fulfillment of God's plan for us and His kingdom. We can lose much if we rush ahead of God, but we can gain much by maintaining an attitude of trust and delight in Him. The Lord weighs and measures every trial. We read in Selected Messages, Book 2, page 242, written by Ellen G. White, "I cannot read the purpose of God in my affliction, but He knows what is best, and I will commit my soul, body, and spirit to Him as unto my faithful Creator. For I know whom I have believed, and am persuaded that He is able to keep that which I have committed unto Him against that day." 2 Timothy 1:12. If we educated and trained our souls to have more faith, more love, greater patience, and a more perfect trust in our Heavenly Father, I know we would have more peace and happiness day by day as we pass through the conflicts of this life. The Lord is not pleased to have us fret and worry ourselves out of the arms of Jesus. More is needed of the quiet waiting and watching combined. We think unless we have feeling that we are not in the right track, and we keep looking within for some sign befitting the occasion. But the reckoning is not of feeling, but of faith. End of quote. And that brings us to our 4 discussion questions for this week. 1. What does it mean that Jesus weighs and measures every trial? How can knowing this help us while we wait? 2. Ask people in class to give personal testimonies as to what patient waiting is all about. What were their fears, their joys? How did they cope? What did they learn? What promises did they cling to? 3. What can you do as a church or a class to help others who are in the crucible as they wait God's timing for something? And 4. What is the role of prayer in the development of patience? Are there others you can pray for so that the Spirit will develop patience in their lives? Inside Story. Our mission story this week continues as a lesson in God's faithfulness, and once again is read by Sibylla. Thank you, Sibylla.
The Final Attack, Part 11, by Andrew McChesney. 2 weeks before Father's baptism, he inexplicably grew angry after guests left the house following a small group Bible study in Manaus, Brazil on Friday evening. He announced that he would sleep in the living room. The night was darker than usual. Electricity went out in the neighborhood, leaving the houses and streets in pitch blackness. About 1 a.m., Junior woke up to the sound of a voice shrieking that Father was not going to be baptized. Junior was scared and didn't know what to do. He stayed in his room to see what would happen. The voice screamed again, saying that Father was not going to be baptized. Junior waited. He heard someone enter his room. "Please, son, pray with me," Father said. "The enemy is attacking again." Another voice spoke. "What are you doing?" It was Mother. When she heard the screams from the living room, she had sunk onto her knees and began to pray. Now she invited Father and Junior to join her in pleading for Jesus to chase away the evil spirits. After some minutes of prayer, Mother suggested that they step outside the house where they would be able to see one another in the dim moonlight. Outside, Father said he was thirsty. Junior volunteered to go back in and fetch a glass of water. In the kitchen, he spotted a mysterious dark spot on the floor. Calling for Mother, he pointed at the spot and asked, "What's that?" Mother looked closely at the floor. "That's hair," she said. Back outside, Junior and Mother took a closer look at Father. Big tufts of hair were missing from his head. It looked as if someone had taken a pair of scissors and chopped off his hair haphazardly. Father put his hands to the top of his head and winced. "I'll have to shave my head," he said. "I don't care if I'm bald." When the sun rose on Sabbath morning, Father felt terribly tired. He was unusually weak after the night-time attack by evil spirits, as if he had received a severe beating. He decided to pray at home instead of going to church. After Mother and Junior left, he prayed, "Jesus, don't let them take over my body. Please be close to me. I don't want to be possessed any more." Opening his Bible, he read in Psalm 37, verse 5, "Commit your way to the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass." Father understood that Jesus was telling him not to be afraid. Jesus would guide him to his baptism. Sure enough, evil spirits never possessed Father again after that Friday night, but he could still hear them.
This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.